That kind of shifts into another question we wanted to ask you. And obviously there's a lot of discussion among some groups of people about, like a defunding the police movement. I mean, personally, I think that's a little bit too far. We're always going to need our police officers in our communities. But I think I'd love to hear your take if you think there's merit to that, or what your whole take is of that whole movement.
Yeah, I never bought into that. And you remember when I was talking about that story about the Latino mothers screaming and yelling at me? Mm-hmm. That's what that is. That's anger. Mm. Yeah. And we got to, as leaders, be adults and understand where that's coming from. So in reality, what I would say, and this is part of what I cover in my book too, is we need to reallocate. This is another thing. Policing in the United States is only 200 years old. Okay. And it was changed in London in the 1820s. Okay. And why did they change? Well, before, policing through all the ages had been done by the military. All right. And policing in England, which is what we're based on, had situations where the people would get upset at the royalty, the kings, and they'd come out and riot and all that stuff. You ever heard that expression, read them the Riot Act? You've never heard that expression? Well, it's pretty common.
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I know I'm going to get hell when I get home, right? That's what it means literally today. But read them the Riot Act is actually comes from the police back in England during that time, where the royal caller, whoever he was, would go out and the crowd was going crazy. He'd take his paper, the Riot Act, and he'd read it and tell them, you either disperse now or look out. And then they'd send the military in, and the military would go in and kill everybody. So they knew that wasn't working anymore. So this guy comes along, Robert Peel, and he decides this isn't working and we need to have a whole new set of principles what police should be. And anybody that's studied criminal justice has studied Robert Peel. And one of the sayings that still resonates in my head is that the people are the police and the police are the people. And the police have no power without the permission of the people. Okay? Otherwise, it doesn't work. They have to be not just faithful, but they have to be confident that the policing that they're getting is what they need and want, okay? So what did he do immediately? Well, back in those days, the Army wore red uniforms. So he changed their colors to blue, which is why we wear blue today, all right? They had brass buttons on their uniforms, the Army. He put copper buttons on, okay? So he kept the military discipline to it, but he knew he had to totally change. So what I'm going to add on to that today is we're only 200 years old. Why can't we adjust now? And look at, have a real, you see all these people passing laws and reform. It's bullshit. We need to have a real conversation. What do we want our police to be and look like today? And that's not an easy conversation because there are many people in police who are stubborn. They don't want to change. They like what they have. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry with corrections, which is another topic. But, it's a toughie.